You're listening to the Snug and Shady podcast. Here are your hosts, Calvin Thompson and Cynthia Knight. You have subscribed to two beautiful souls that are gonna give you some awesome opinions about your life.
That's right. I notice you being very careful to say we're not therapists.
We are not therapists.
It's just like your pals.
Your two pals
giving you unasked for advice.
I know. Like, you just walked in and we're just like, so here's what you need to do.
Maybe they did ask because they press play.
That is true.
So, I mean, we're creating a product, you press play.
Yeah.
You've bought into it's transactional now.
You've bought into the idea that you're about to hear some truth bombs here on the Snug and Shady podcast. Cynthia,
right.
What are we talking about today?
Oh, the theme of 2020.
Ooh.
Burnout.
Oh, I thought it was toilet paper and sadness.
Nope. That's the theme every time I eat bad seafood.
So much for seeing Grandma. I guess I'll watch Netflix now.
Like, how many times did I watch The Office?
Oh, I love The Office.
I know, right?
It's so good. But
anyway.
But really, sorry. You said the real name of the show.
I did.
Burnout.
Burnout, everybody. We're talking about just at your wit's end. The end of your rope, the end of the line. You're at the end of something.
You're wanting to quit something. You're not quite sure what it might be. Or you may know what it is, but
right.
You're ready to quit.
You're just like over it. Burnout is really more than just like, I need a day at the spa. It's really like unmotivated, uncaring, weirdly lashing out at people close to you for no reasonable reason.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing.
Past the point of self-care, like, oh, I'll just drop a little bath bomb and it'll solve all my problems, or I'll get the venti at Starbucks and solve all my problems.
I was reading articles about it, doing the research and stuff for our show notes, and I was just like, a lot of articles started out with like, take a day off, and I'm like, that's the point of burnout, is that you never got to take a day off.
You never did it. We were past that.
You can't just tell someone who hasn't done something for years, like, oh, just do that, and they're like, oh, okay, I'm done, I'm healed now.
You could see Cynthia's cross-eyed.
Sorry.
It was so good.
Sometimes I forget this is an audio medium.
Yeah.
And visual performance.
Well, that voice that you're doing is like
It's all for you, Calvin.
Well, thank you. But that's like what I would say to an employer. That's like, just take a day off.
Use my PTO.
Just an aggressive, like, Muppet voice.
That's super professional.
I know.
Sorry. Anyway, so we're talking about that kind of situation that people might be in. And it can happen in a lot of different areas of your life. It's not just professional and you have to talk to your boss.
There's emotional,
mental,
spiritual,
academic.
Ooh, yeah.
I hit academic burnout a lot. So like I said in a prior episode, my bachelor's degree is in astrophysics, but my master's degree is in national security. That's what I tell people because the title's too long. But essentially, it's national security.
Yeah.
And so also I was like majorly depressed when I was in grad school. And so I had reached an emotional burnout. And then school added like an academic burnout. So for all the students listening... Like, it's hard to push through that. I call it the apathy point in every semester. And the earlier it happens, the more dangerous it is. Because when you stop caring about your homework, then it's like, oh, my future's in jeopardy and I don't care. So.
Yeah, that's hard.
We're going to talk about it, though.
We're going to talk about a lot of things. So, like, for me, I never went to college. Mm-hmm. I'm very proud of that.
I'm proud of you too, because you are like killing it.
I am very happy with everything that's gone in my life professionally. A college degree has not held me back whatsoever.
I am a big firm believer that like college is not for everybody.
Yes.
There are paths. There are many different paths you can take and still make a good career.
Absolutely.
I just really liked school, so I went to a lot of it.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
My path was right for me. But like, I have siblings who didn't go to college, so, and I'm not judging them.
Yeah, I think it all just depends on what you want to do. And we're coming into a day and age. Side note, I think what I'm about to say might encourage somebody. We're entering a day and age where a college degree does no longer determine if you're going to be successful or not. Like, there are ways that you can monetize literally anything you want to do. With all these social medias out there, there is a child on YouTube making $20 million a year playing with toys. So what I'm saying is, if you pimp out your child...
No!
That's a poor word.
Calvin.
That is not the right word to use. No.
Oh, okay, not that.
No. But if you have a hobby or a skill or something that you like, you can do that and you can be successful with it. You just need the right tools.
That's really what it is. You have to be an expert in your field somehow. So like, take a hobby that you like, become an expert at it, teach people how to do it.
There's a lot of Call of Duty experts right now that are crushing it on Twitch.
There, see things I don't know. But this is not our professional corner.
Right. No. So we were giving you some professional advice. So if you're in that professional level of burnout, just realize you do have a lot of options. You just have to you have to explore those a little bit. We can always talk about that more later. But I was going to tell you that my experience with burnout has always been hovered around the professional side of things. My first, I would say, quote unquote job, that was not mowing lawns for grandma was, the church that I went to that was nothing short of toxic. Absolutely. The pastor's wife came up to me and said, "Hey, do you want to teach children's church?" And I was like, yeah, sure.
Very reluctant.
Yeah, sure. So I ended up teaching the children's church for about a year and a half. And it was a full-time job. I was doing all this stuff. I was preparing lessons. They wanted to do all of the, youth camps or the kids camps and all these things. And we coordinated that and Christmas plays and all this stuff that I coordinated and worked on.
Yeah.
And for someone my age, I will say that experience did help me in a lot of things in my life, but it was it's like it stole the last 2 years of my adolescence.
Oh, that sucks.
I know. It's super depressing. But
don't worry, you extended your adolescence.
Yeah. That's true.
Oh, sorry, that was the shady part.
That was an accurate shade.
I'm sorry, Calvin.
Accurate shade of Cynthia.
Sorry.
As well as an accurate shade of me. Yeah,
but that's a real aspect of it. Like, you bring a lot of pressure into the job, or you're inheriting a lot of pressure. So,
well, and it's a pressure that I put on myself, and I would say about 50% of it was the pressure to be good. And I wanted to get to a point where I would get a stipend or something from the church. Like, I had a plan, and I presented it to the pastor, and I asked for $5,000 a year, income wise.
And he
shot it down because the church was in so much trouble that I did not know about. It has all come to light, so I can talk about it. No, that's all I'm gonna say. But
that'll be a Patreon episode.
Yeah, join our Patreon so you can tell you the whole story. There's a lot
Calvin's
of
church drama.
There's a lot of church drama.
But you touched on some important points about the level of burnout you can reach even at an early phase of your career.
Yeah.
Right.
Or life.
Right. Very true. But we're going to start with professional and then move into the other regions of burnout. So professionally, it kind of, the burnout kind of starts to look like you lose your focus and you lose your drive. And so if you catch yourself early enough, burnout can be pulled back from or saved if you do activities or sort of mindset practices that help you remember why you are at your job.
Right.
What is the goal? Like, what customer are you serving at your job? And how is the customer's experience driving your productivity and your own work? Like, if you are a cog in the machine, how are you an important cog in that machine?
Right.
Because I used to work for a ginormous company. It was really hard to keep a vision because I was just such a little cog in such a big company.
Yeah.
And so, but I found that vision. I was like, if I didn't have my job, things wouldn't happen. Manufacturing would shut down, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so it helped me refocus and develop, even if I wasn't face to face with a customer all the time.
Right.
So I always tell people, like, if you're having a hard time professionally, what is the vision of your company that you're supporting, and try and use that to motivate you. Another important thing that we talked about in an earlier episode, everybody, boundaries.
Boundaries.
Talk to your boss.
Talk to your boss. Or your HR manager. No, just kidding.
Lisa!
No, Lisa is not here today.
Thank you.
Screw her. No, but I think something that's been really important and what's really helped me, and I'm in a 6-year career right now, and it's been awesome. And I've had to have the conversation, one with myself and one with my boss, and I have an awesome relationship with my boss. The question is often, do I not like my job, or do I not like this one aspect of my job that I'm
Awesome.
that I have the power to change?
Great.
And that power to change is often a conversation that needs to be had. It is a situation in my head that I've made up. It is a coworker that I have taken offense to for whatever reason, or I've said, like, this person has offended me because of blank, and it may not even be directly like towards me, but I've chosen to take offense to it because I just take offense very easily.
You're such an Aquarius.
I'm such
Oh, wait,
an Aquarius. I am an Aquarius. You got
okay.
it. You crushed it. Yeah.
My astrology creds were on the line.
We need to find someone that can guest host astrology and just like sit here. I had a friend that could like tell you, you'd say, I'm an Aquarius. And then I'd sit there for 20 minutes and she'd be like, so this, and you're good with this. And I'm like, it's like, do you have a job? This person does not struggle with career burnout.
So I jokingly know a lot of astrology just because a lot of astronomy and astrology are kind of, especially early astronomy.
Sure.
It's kind of tied up with astrology. And I just remember stories really well. So I joke, like, that's my party trick, is that I kind of know when the zodiac dates are, and when I'm at a party and I'm like, when were you born? People are like, oh, this date. I'm like, ugh, you're such a Taurus.
Ugh. Disgusting.
It's my favorite bit. Anyway, so people invite me to your parties so I can roll my eyes at your friends. Make fun of
Pisces.
Make fun of their birthday.
Such a Virgo.
Water signs, am I right?
I know.
Oh man, we're so off topic.
We're having so much fun. Thank you guys for coming on this journey with us. We've made it through 2 out of the 4 burnout.
We love you and we appreciate you.
Shit.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So, but I feel like professional burnout is where most people feel it. So I really want to hit this kind of hard.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, but you touched on it when we were talking about boundaries. It's a conversation you have to have with your boss. You say things like, I am overloaded and I am burning out. This is not, like, you have to be honest about where you're at. And then you can take them a list of your responsibilities and your priorities and say, and then ask your boss, work with your boss, be like, something has to move. Also very important to remember is that just because a company pays you doesn't mean they own you.
Ooh.
That is a quote from CEO Jason Fried. I'm going to say it again. Just because a company pays you doesn't mean they own you.
Wow.
You entered a contractual transactional relationship. So they don't own you. You have a say in this relationship. And toxic business culture is a big problem. So now let's get into that. So we're moving one level deeper. What if you can't talk to your boss? What do you do? If you're in a really tight spot, then I would suggest maybe question the boundaries you've placed on yourself and your own limits.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that like I can do more. I mean like do you have to serve on that committee? Do you have to take work home? Will the world stop spinning if you leave work at 5?
What's optional and what's required?
Exactly. And then get really used to saying no and learn how to like love it. When people ask you for things, go, no.
No is a complete sentence.
And just learn how to say no. Or if you're a nice person, which is something I strive to be, you can redirect people, be like, I cannot take that responsibility right now, but maybe so-and-so might be able to help you.
Do you know a good resource for everything that we're talking about right now? I've loved...
My autobiography?
Do you have one?
No.
Do you want to make one?
No.
Okay.
Not yet. I haven't lived enough life yet. It would be very boring. It would be like the Cat in the Hat.
Or the cat in the lap.
Yeah, you guys, Kit Kat is on my lap right now.
There is a good chance that if you're listening to any of these episodes that Kit Kat is hanging out with us.
I think you mean with me.
Yeah, I'm the extra.
I'm super possessive. I'm sorry.
And I'm 6 feet apart.
That's true.
Obviously.
Anyway.
Oh, I was going to tell you,
Yeah.
TikTok has actually been a really cool resource.
Yes.
Well, and they have a lot of like employment resources. Like, so if you're like, if you want to get better interviews or work-life culture, there's some really cool TikTok people out there. And I'm just sitting here like, man, these people are so smart.
Yeah.
Like how to create boundaries in the workplace. Like, what are your rights as an employee?
That's an important one. Your rights as an employee matter.
Yeah.
And OSHA regulations exist for your protection.
Yeah.
Invoke those.
Well, and a lot of employers like mine will say employment at will.
Yeah, Oklahoma's in play at Will State.
Right. So you can't just like, no one owns you. You're there by your choice.
Mm-hmm.
And you can leave when you want.
That's true. But I feel like we also have to recognize people have families to feed.
Right.
So that's what I meant. I kind of wanted to talk to those people who are like in a situation where the situation's unhealthy and maybe
Right.
they can't leave. So this is like the next phase of burnout, right?
Right.
You're in a situation, you cannot leave it. Everything is terrible.
That's deep.
Yeah, we're only at minute 13. Oh, 15. I was wrong. Sorry.
We're at minute 15.
Believe it or not, we have a timer and we just ignore it.
Yeah. What's a timer?
Anyway.
Let's trash some Virgos some more, man.
That is so funny because 2 of my best friends are Virgos.
Oh, no.
And they're going to listen. I'm going to get an earful and I'm going to be like, yeah, but it's right though. Sorry.
You can send hate mail to Snug and Shady.
Astrology Corner.
Astrology
Should be another
Corner.
segment.
I'm not qualified to talk about that.
I am. Astrology with Cynthia. It'll be a Patreon perk.
All right, guys.
Sorry.
Subscribe to our Patreon and Astrology Corner will happen.
We just did one of our coping mechanisms. It got uncomfortable and then we cracked a joke.
Yep, we got uncomfortable with what we were talking about.
Ah, shit,
oh, no.
Let's return to the discomfort. But I really do. I'm very driven by, I want to help people who are in these really tight places, who are in a situation that's truly terrible and they can't leave for one reason or another. Because I don't, like, there are people who are like that. And it's easy to point a finger and be like, you have the power to change your life at any time. And it's like, yeah, that's true. But single mothers like can't leave their children, you know, like you have mouths to feed, like you have a mortgage to pay. You have parents who need tending. You have responsibilities. So when you're stuck between a rock and a hard place and you truly can't escape, the last place you can turn to, which really should have been the first place you turn to, is yourself, right?
Yeah.
You've got to turn inward and say, I can't change my situation, but I can change my mind. This is a powerful lesson that we get from Viktor Frankl, who wrote Man's Search for Meaning. And if you haven't read it, I highly encourage it. He was a survivor of a concentration camp. He had great, valuable and wonderful insights into, you know, just kind of the worst things that humanity can experience. But my show notes, here we go. Sorry. When you're in these deep, dark places where things are so terrible and you want to change your mindset, you start with gratitude.
Yeah.
So let's go back to Calvin's burnout when he was a teenager. How did you work through that? Was there a point in time where your parents were like, oh, you can quit? I imagine it wasn't like that.
No, I actually was told to quit when I came out the first time.
Oh, so they tried to oust you.
But there was that. But I think that was almost like my escape.
Yeah.
It's like, I guess that was my tool. That was what I did, is I said, okay, I know I can get out of this situation that I don't want to be in if I come clean about my sexuality. And that was really, it worked. And a lot of good things came out of that, other than a lot of...
So there's a silver lining.
There was silver lining. I mean, the good things being like, I got out of that situation because they obviously didn't want this queer boy over, indoctrinating those children. Like, because obviously that was...
Oh, the horror.
Yeah, okay. Like, come on.
But like what I'm getting at is there's always a silver lining, right?
Right.
And that's something that you can actively be grateful for. If you're in a truly terrible situation, you can say things like, I'm grateful for what this is teaching me for the future. I'm grateful for the lessons I'm learning now that I can bring with me into the future. I'm grateful for the experiences at this job that are teaching me cultures to look for in future interviews.
Right.
And if you're in like a really tight professional spot, 2020 taught us that you can work remote for many, many jobs.
Yeah.
Get a new job.
Yeah. Well, it sounds
There's
like
more remote jobs now than ever.
It sounds like if you found yourself in that place that you just need to find a tool.
Yeah.
And that tool, I mean, you're going to have to, look for the tool and recognize that you need a tool. But the tool a lot of times is a really good influence, whether that be a licensed professional therapist or you're talking to a job coach, or hopefully you have enough of a relationship with your boss to where you can come up with a game plan of like, hey, this isn't working. Okay, we recognize that. Can I work on a transition out of this role?
And chances are your boss has probably already picked up on it, maybe.
Right.
I know that some people think their bosses are like really stupid, but your boss has kind of noticed your productivity, and if they have to like ride your tail a lot. Right, because lack of productivity is part of burnout. So if you sit down and have this conversation, they're probably going to be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I was wondering why you were acting this way," And if you feel uncomfortable with your boss, then one, find a new job or talk to HR, but also work with your community. Reach out to your friends and just be very public. Be like, "I am struggling. Things are hard," and ask for help. I did that today with Calvin. I had you guys. Things are going on and it is really hard for me. And I was like, "Calvin, can you just like, I can't even make dinner. Can you grab dinner?" And he brought me dinner. It was genuinely very difficult for me to ask for help.
Yeah. And she didn't even tell me what she wanted.
No, Calvin had to guess. And he's super great at guessing food.
It's like, everyone likes this.
I know. He brought me grilled cheese and tomato soup.
With a hummus platter.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Water's Edge. Water's Edge. Sorry. Wild Forks in Utica Square.
Water's Edge in downtown Broken Arrow.
That's right.
Highly recommend.
Tulsa's chief tourism officers reporting for duty.
Dum, dum, dum.
Okay. So we've talked a lot about professional burnout, mostly because I thought it was the big one.
I think a lot of us are going to experience that, especially in our mid-20s, as we're trying to figure out. Well, and our mid-20s are so formidable because
I think you mean formative.
Formative, yeah. Thank you. I was like, when I said
they're also formidable.
When I said formidable, I was like, I crushed that word, and you're like, no.
Well,
you were so close.
Said it. We said it with the Slavic emphasis of formative, because I think that word is formidable.
I was homeschooled.
The emphasis. Get your mother. I have concerns.
Mom, can I do math homework in the tree house?
No, math is of the devil.
Math? What's that?
Why do we talk with these accents?
I don't. My mom's actually extremely well educated. She's got her degree in elementary education and did very well.
It's okay. Formative and formidable are very close.
I will say I do make that homeschool joke in front of her, and she hates it. It's her favorite joke ever.
That's so funny.
But those years are so formative that we often don't know what we want. And as an Enneagram 7, all I think about is my freedom of how do I not have to work anymore and go travel. I constantly think about it. I got a tattoo about it. Like,
yeah, he did. You guys.
It's like a whole thing.
Yeah. It's a big deal because like your 20s are really, it's like your toddler adult years, right? Where you're pushing boundaries and discovering who you are and what you want in a life and how you're going to get it. And you're really faced with the first time the tools like how to actually achieve your dreams. And some people settle into this numbness and get into a career path that's just kind of sedate and traditional and sink into this, oh, this is all there is. And we're here to tell you there's so much more. So professional burnout is kind of been the theme, or has been the theme of this episode. Mental burnout is really the theme of this podcast.
Yeah.
And the reason Calvin and I are over here loudly proclaiming, go to therapy.
Go to therapy.
If you can't afford therapy, listen to our podcast.
Listen to our podcast. Listen to our resources. The goal is, here's the thing. It's not Cynthia and I's job to be your therapist because, one, we don't have licenses, and two, we're just going to tell you to grow up every time. No.
Also, I don't have the emotional bandwidth right now.
No. I don't think either one of us are prepared for that. But what we are going to do is eliminate the stigma that comes with therapy, and we're going to encourage it. We're going to help eliminate the fear that comes from therapy, because if you don't know what you're getting into in any situation, there's going to be fear attached to that. So if you know so well about any subject matter, the more research you know about it, just like buying a house. If you know how to buy a house, if you've done it once, you're not as afraid to do it the second time because you know what you're doing. So
That's very true.
The more knowledge you have about the subject of mental health and healing and therapy and all of that, the more comfortable you're going to be when you finally take that step and talk to a licensed professional therapist where they can get really deep into your situation.
Exactly. And I always feel like the point of our podcast is also to shine a light on those problems that maybe people have but haven't articulated.
Yeah.
There's this thing about like when you feel seen, like you feel really understood.
Right.
And part of being seen and understood is being able to name your problems and speak coherently about what's going on.
Yeah.
And I mean, knowing the problem is half the battle. So if you've been coming home every day and you're really irritable and you just feel like, oh, like my spouse can't get anything right, or oh, my kids really irritate me all the time. Maybe your family isn't the problem. Maybe you're like taking out frustration with your job on your family and you have unresolved frustrations. Like, we're trying to throw a bunch of information at you guys and understand like your life is all interlocked and different things have different effects that play out in different areas.
Like emotional burnout.
Emotional burnout. That's another big one. I feel like we kind of talked about that in toxic relationships.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Well, if you're feeling like you're having to give so much to someone, that can be hard.
Yes.
I have certain friends in my life that I love so dearly, but I have to give them time limits.
Oh, me too.
I'm just like, I love you so much, so much.
I can only be with you for like 4 hours.
But it is time.
Yeah.
It is time to bid adieu.
And that's okay, because that's part of you establishing a boundary. You can love someone kind of with some arm's length in between you.
But have you ever in the past, kind of around that same time of like being a kids pastor and all of that, like it made being around certain people that much more difficult. So the longer you be around them, like they suck your energy.
Oh yeah.
So you have to be around people that, I mean, you can be around people that take your energy. You just have to be aware of that and limit that if you feel like it's benefiting them and you're giving in that scenario and you're aware. But you have to be around people that give you life.
Yeah.
And if you're around life givers, it changes everything.
Changes your life. It really does.
You absorb it and you absorb the goodness from each other and you radiate it, and then you take that into every other area of your life. And that is a huge, in my opinion, is so important when it comes to any kind of burnout, is being around life-giving individuals who are there to make you feel like everything will be okay.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that was our closing thought. That was just so well put.
Was there one more burnout?
Academic.
We talked about, we did talk about academic quite a bit. So to recap, you've got your academic burnout.
Emotional burnout. Mental burnout and professional burnout. So, and all of these all of these might happen to you at different phases, or if you're really unlucky, they might all happen at once. But there's always hope for healing. That's always what I'm going to say in every episode, right? There's always hope for healing, and it's going to start always with your mindset and recognizing you have the ability to be grateful in any situation and to look up in any situation and to move forward. And again, just read that book by Viktor Frankl, because it will change your life.
What was the name of the book again?
Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl.
Any type of those resources that you can take advantage of, please engage with that. And just like the point of this episode, any type of awareness that you can have about burnout, the sooner you can recognize these triggers that you're like, I think I'm about to get to a point where I'm going to hate my life and want to quit whatever it is. Like, let's recognize those a little bit earlier, whatever that may be for you.
It's kind of like a downward spiral I talked about in last episode. Right?
Yeah.
Like, you will notice when you start to go down. So just like catch yourself early, turn around, and walk back up. It's always an energy into the problem. And sometimes that's hard too when you're in a low place to put energy into the situation. It's hard to do, which is why I'm such an advocate of like, first, change your mind. And second, reach out to your community. Yeah. Because sometimes it's really hard to lift yourself up and you need people to help, which is what you did when you brought me grilled cheese.
Yes, it's my pleasure.
I just love you so much.
I just love you. Okay, well, that's all I've got. Any final words? Are we good?
You are capable of healing, and burnout, like, pain isn't forever.
Oh.
You can work through it, and you can change your job, you can change your life, you can change your outlook.
You are in control a lot more than what you think.
Exactly.
Oh, and on that note,
we love you. We kiss you.
Mwah, 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 mwah.
Oh, I stole that from another podcast. I'm sorry.
Do you want to give them credit?
Yeah, Babysitters Club.
Oh,
Tanner and Jack, they're my boys.
They sound very attractive.
I don't know if they are. Their voices are attractive.
That's good enough for me. Ladies and gentlemen,
this has been Snug and Shady.
You guys are precious, loved, and worthy. We'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye. This has been the Snug and Shady podcast with Calvin Thompson and Cynthia Knight. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at Snug and Shady so we can connect with you better, and you can see inspirational quotes from the show and more resources. And for all of our other links and to stay connected with the podcast, visit our website at snugandshady.com.